Okay, today's lesson we're going to look at graphs of functions, and the specific objective there is to construct tables of values and draw graphs of linear equations. So in other words, by the end of this lesson we must be able to construct a table of values, and then from there we should be able to draw graphs of linear functions. Now, a linear function, in other words, basically means that we're going to concentrate mostly on the linear equation, which is y equals mx plus c. Now, in this equation, the value of y, the y is now what we call the dependent variable. So in other words, it depends on something. The value, the m, is now our gradient that needs to be calculated. Gradient represents the steepness of the line. X is now our independent variable, meaning it keeps on changing. And then the c represents the y-intercept. It's a constant value. So meaning where our straight line graph meets the y-axis on our Cartesian plane. So getting back to constructing tables. So constructing table here means that, let's say for instance, you are given a table with the two variables, x and y. So in this case, you are given the values of x. X is -3, x can be -2, x can be -1, x can be 0, x can be +1, x can be +2, or x can be +3. So in other words, the value of x keeps on changing. That's why it is regarded as an independent variable. But now, the value of y, in order for us to figure out what y is, we'll have to use a specific equation. Let's say, for instance, you are given y equals to 2x minus 1. So in this equation, you need to make use of this equation to complete this table. So from this equation, we can see that the value of m, which is our gradient, is +2, is substituted into 2. The value of x is there. In this case, we'll be using a -2, -3, -2, -1, 0, 2, 1, 2, and 3. So the value of x will keep on changing as we do the calculations. And our value of c, which is the constant variable, is now -1. So let's go back to the specific objective. We need to construct tables of values and draw graphs of linear functions. So we are given this table. So we need to complete this table using this equation that is given. So in other words, if the value of x is -3, what will be the value of y? So x is an independent variable, whereas y is a dependent variable. So it depends on whatever the value of x is. In order for us to know what y is, we need to know the value of x. So now we are given this equation. So we are told to complete the table. Complete the table above using the given equation. So, in this case, our given equation is y equals 2x minus 1. So we need to use this equation to complete the table. So let's start with the first one there. So the equation is y equals 2x minus 1. So what is the value of y when x is -3? So using the given equation, I have y equals 2. I substitute the value of x with -3. Now you have to always put your -3 in brackets. Because it's a negative number, you must always put it in brackets. Now, y equals 2x minus 1. So we calculate this 2 multiplied by -3, it will give us -6. And then -6 minus 1, it will give us -7. So in other words, when x is -3, y will be -7. So we move on to the next column. Using the same equation, y equals 2x minus 1. So the value of x is no more -3, but the value of x is now -2. So it keeps on changing. That's why it is regarded as a independent variable. Now the value of y depends on what the value of x is. So if our x in this case is no more -3 but -2, so to find the value of y, x will be -2 minus 1. So we multiply 2 times -2, it will give us -4. -4 minus 1, it will give us -5. So we complete the table by writing -5 here. Next one, the third column, the value of x, still in the same equation. We do not change the equation. The equation remains 2x minus 1. So we need to complete this table using that equation. So the value of x is no more -2 now, but the value of x is now -1. So what happens is we rewrite the equation, but now we are going to substitute the value of x by -1 minus 1. So we multiply 2 times -1 to be -2. -2 minus 1, it will give us -3. So when x is -1, y is -3. Now we are done with x being -1. So we move over to the next column, which is now 0. When x is 0, what will be the value of y? Using the same equation, y equals to 2x minus 1. So our x is now 0, so it will be 2 times 0 minus 1. 2 times 0 will be 0, and 0 minus 1, it will be -1. So we write it there, we complete our table. X is no more 0, x is now +1. So using the same equation, y equals 2x minus 1, we substitute the value of x with +1. So y will be 2 times x. X is now 1. So it will be 2 times 1 minus 1. So 2 times 1 will give us 2. And 2 minus 1, it will give us +1. So we complete the table, +1. Now, you realize that what we are actually doing here when we complete, we are getting the coordinates. When x is -3, y is -1. When x is -2, y is -5. When x is -1, y is -3. When x is 0, y is -1. So these coordinates that we have calculated here are to be used to complete, to draw a graph. Alright, now let's continue. In the third one, second last, the same equation, y equals to 2x minus 1. So, to be 2 multiplied by the value of x, our value of x is now +2. So it is 2 times +2 minus 1. 2 times 2 will give us a 4, and 4 minus 1, it will give us +3. So our value is +3. And the last one there, we have y again, the same equation, 2x minus 1. So y equals to 2 times x. Our x is now +3 minus 1. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 minus 1 is +5. So in other words, when x is +3, y is +5. So these are coordinates that we have calculated here. So construct tables. Now this is the construction of the table. So you use the equation that is given, and you substitute the values of x into that equation to find the value of y. So once you have completed the table, the next step is now to move on to drawing a graph, which is now the straight line graph. Thank you.